Good morning, everybody. It is 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday, August 9th, and you may be saying, what are you doing at 5 o'clock in the morning? Why are you up at 5 o'clock in the morning? And I don't know. I'm up at 5 o'clock. So we're going to do round two of the Ollo Audio S4R sound test. And today's this video, is about the mids. Yesterday's video was about the bass. This video is about the mids. And before we go into it, I want to say that there are only a handful of websites that review the Ollo Audio headphones. And on YouTube, there are a few videos, but none of them actually do anything. They don't provide you any information. They're about 3 or 4 minutes long and very unhelpful as normal. But I found this website, insideaudio.net, that talks about the Ollo Audio S4R sound quality. And I want to read this to you. They say, and I quote, "We are amazed by the quality of the Ollo HPS S4R. It's a very natural sounding headphone. It will make sure you get an honest opinion on sound compared to other colored headphones. The sound is very flat, which makes it perfect for mixing and mastering. We never felt so comfortable in working on mixes and masters with a headphone and trusting the headphones. We do miss a small push in the low frequency, but that's not an irritating. That's not an irritating? It's even good to have when mixing for a long time, so your ears won't get overloaded. Overall, we are very positive about the Ollo HPS S4Rs. They sound great and are incredibly comfortable while wearing." So it very undetailed. This is the typical nonsense stuff that you'll run into when looking for reviews on this headphone. So in comparison, we are actually going to do a real review. Mids test. What are we looking for? We want to hear whether there are different tonalities with different vocalists in a particular mix. So if there's 3 vocalists, do they all have different tonalities, different timings? Can I hear 3 different voices? I also want to figure out if the mids bleed into the bass frequency at all. It's very difficult for mids to bleed into the treble region. I have yet to encounter that. It's entirely possible, especially with a very poorly mastered, poorly compressed audio file. But as of this point, I don't have anything like that, I don't think. And let's also figure out if the headphones color the sound. Now, I've told you repeatedly yesterday that these headphones are flat, and Ollo Audio tells you it's flat. I would agree with that. Even without going into more reviews, I would agree with the opinion, with the statement that these headphones are flat. That is not in contention with me. I totally agree with that. Whether or not that flatness makes the song distorted or makes the song not likable, like you just simply won't like to hear it because it's so flat, that's a matter of preference. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's start with Want You Back by Haim. And in Haim, we have 3 vocalists. We have primary and 2 backup. The 2 backup are slightly out of sync. They have different tonalities. They're left and then they're right. Let's see if the Ollo Audio represents all of that information and whether or not it has soundstage and verticality. Here we go. And by the way, I'm using the Monolith THX AAA. So the primary vocalist can have a very sibilant voice when she starts out. These headphones do not get sibilant. They get close to becoming sibilant at higher volumes with the appropriate track, obviously, but it doesn't become peaky. It's not bothersome for me. For other people who are really sensitive to sibilance, and I'm being sibilant right now, but to people who have sensitive ears, this might be kind of a deal breaker because the Ollo Audio does get a little bit too close to sibilant, even though there's not a real bump in the treble region at all with these headphones. It's just how the tonality comes out. And when it's flat, any sibilance that is naturally recorded from the artist, not sufficiently suppressed in mixing and the mastering process, is probably going to show up although the headphones doesn't seem to accentuate it any more than what is already recorded. So I want to make sure you know that. Now, there's a little micro detail in this song about I think about 10 seconds in, where she says the word and she has a grumble in her voice, like, and I can't even do it, and she drags the A in the word and out, and it's like gravel, and it's a really great micro detail. Let's listen for that again, and I will bring this up to negative 25 decibels. Here we go. Yeah, it's good dragging in the feet. And right around 10 seconds also is she goes we, and the letter we, I keep making this mistake. It's not a letter we, it's the letter W. The letter W in the word we, again, American education. The letter W gets dragged out, and it's a really nice, meaty micro detail, and these headphones represent it very cleanly, crisply, without adding any sort of distortion. There's no bass weirdness going on. It's just the vocal. She's dragging it out, and it gets dragged out in your headphones. It's a very nice, clean representation. When she says world, about 14 seconds in. Now, when she says world, the word world gets echoed into infinity, meaning it echoes, 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 and it fades away. There are some headphones that take that word and they either overemphasize it, so it just kind of stays there a little too long, or it's immediately gone, as if there is no echo. These headphones, you hear the word world, and it's loud, and then it immediately comes down several decibels, and then it goes down many more decibels, and it goes down many more decibels, and then it fades off. So it's like a 3-layer step. It reverberates 3 times, and you can hear the echo, and every time it gets softer and softer and softer. It's a good representation. So it has that type of it has that ability to represent width. Where there is no width, it's just recorded into the song as if there is an echo that fades. Here is the other 2 vocalists. Clearly separated. There's one on the left, there's one on the right. They have different tonalities. They're slightly off key. Easily discovered with these headphones. Now there's a bass that's coming in, just a normal drum, and then there's a bass guitar also. They're all playing at this point, and all the vocalists are playing, all the instruments are playing. There is no muddiness. All the vocalists are clearly differentiated, even with the entire mix into the song at this point. Here's an interesting point. So if we go back to about 1 minute and 10 seconds or so, the primary vocalist is the only one talking now, and she says it may be hard to hear it, or I may be hard to hear it, something like that. And there's a drum beat, 1, 2, 3, as she's saying those words. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, I know it's hard to hear it. She's the only one singing, I know it's hard to hear it. And the guitar still strumming in the background. It's done strumming, and now it's just the energy reverberating. But the drum comes in and dum, dum, dum. I know it's hard to hear it. So hard to hear it. That on those beats, the drum hits. Some headphones muddy the vocals when the drum hits at that point. These headphones keep everything nice and separated. Let me listen to it again. And there's also a clapping. So it's as if there's the 2 backup vocalists are clapping at the same time as the drummer is hitting. So now you've got multiple layers of detail. You have the clapping, you have the drum, you have the reverberating energy of the guitar, you have the primary vocalist. That's a lot of layers for a headphone. Now you may say, well, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. It is a whole lot for headphones. And if you have really bad headphones, it gets muddy and you lose the detail. I would submit to you that headphones that are, for example, bass heavy headphones, the older Beats headphones, not so much the newer ones, but the older Beats headphones specifically tuned to bring out the bass frequency, with this type of song, with that type of layering of detail, would meld everything together, and you would get more distortion and more muddiness and less detail. But compared to, say, the Ollo Audio, you get detail, no muddiness. Everything is well separated, which is I'm very pleased by that. Let's keep going for a few more seconds. When she says, "Don't take it out on me now," which is about 1 minute and 20 seconds in, the word "now" reverberates, and it reverberates on the left ear cup, and it just goes away, and it almost sounds as if it's floating upwards instead of floating to the side, right? Echoing out away upwards. Let's listen to it again real quick. Yeah, it's a very interesting echo. So she says the word "now" in the right ear cup, and then the echo goes into the left ear cup, and it sounds as if it's fading away up into the air, like upwards, up towards your head, instead of just to the side. She says "now" and then "now," and the word floats up. That's a really amazing detail. I don't think I've heard it, or at least I haven't paid attention to it before. And the reason I'm paying attention to it now is because it's so obvious on these headphones. Okay, so fantastic. It's done really, really well on this song. Detail comes out really well. Separation of the vocalist, different tonalities, micro detail is present, flat, uncolored. Fantastic. Let's go to Heartbreak by Chris Saro. Now on this song, the instruments are simply more important to the song than the vocalist. The vocalist seems to take a second seat or back seat to it, meaning the vocalist seems center stage and the instruments seem a little bit forward of her, meaning she's behind the instruments essentially. Here we go. It starts up with the piano, very smooth, and also she and sounds like at least one other vocalist could just be mastering her voice back in to make it sound as if there are multiple people. And then there's this guitar, electric guitar, good separation of the piano, the guitar, and her vocals. Now it sounds like there's multiple singers, and I hear two. One is slightly slower than the other, and the one that's slower is in the left ear cup. Here comes drums. There's no hard impact with the drum. It's just a fast impact. It's a fast drum. It sounds dull, the way that is mastered in this song, which is good. And the vocalists just come out very naturally, uncolored. And as I said before with this song, is that the instruments seem to be much more important to this song than the vocalist. Around 1 minute and 10 seconds, when all the instruments start coming in, you hear that the vocals take a backseat, meaning they become hard to hear with all the other instruments. Now, that's not the fault of the headphones. That's just the way that it's mastered. What happens is that the volume on the instruments is louder than the volume on the vocalist. Is that going to make sense? So, however this was mastered, what happened is that whatever happened is that the engineer said, this is how we're going to play it. We're going to have the instruments be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decibels louder than the vocals. And that's how it's presented to me. Let's keep going. There's no distortion, even though the vocals are not up front. They're pretty much secondary. I hear no distortion. I don't hear any muddiness. Now, the vocals are drowned out by all the instruments when they're all playing, but not distorted. And at this point in the song, 1 minute and 50 seconds, it's just the vocalist and the electric guitar in the background. You can clearly hear their vocals. You can hear the separation between the instruments and the vocals, and I think that there are multiple vocalists, but the way that this song was mixed, it's hard to tell how many vocalists are actually there. So this was a good different song from Want You Back, because this one has a lot more electronic stuff mixed in, much less emphasis on the vocals, whereas Want You Back is more focused on the words in the vocals than it is on the instruments. So I would say this is the opposite of Want You Back. Let's go to When You Walk Into the Room by Vic and Gab. There we go. The song immediately starts off with an electric guitar and drums. The drums, very clean, does not distort into the frequency of the electric guitar. The drum is not impactful, very flat, neutral. The vocalist is talking. I hear a clear difference between her frequency and the frequencies of each of the instruments. Her voice gets almost sibilant, not quite. For some people, it might be a little irritating at higher volumes. Now, there should be two vocalists right at this point, and I'm trying to listen for them. It's not an easy to find the two vocalists on this song as it was with Want You Back. Now I hear the different vocalists, because when they say I want to be alone, there's a very slight difference in tonality that comes out, and because I was looking for the difference, I could tell that there are two different vocalists. Now there's only one. Clean sound, no distortion at all. And the second vocalist should come in right about now. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing with this song. This headphone doesn't really separate the vocals on this song enough for me. There are other headphones that I have used that I recall hearing two different tonalities very clearly. On the Ollos, I don't hear it as clearly. In fact, I'm hunting for it, and I'm having a hard time finding. I know there are two vocalists. I know I've heard them before. I know I've heard them clearer, with more distinction. But with the Ollos, I don't hear that difference. How do I explain that? Well, because the Ollos have shown the differentiation in Want You Back, and because it showed me exactly what I thought I would hear in Heartbreak, and now I'm listening to Vic and Gab, I'm not hearing it, my only explanation would be that the way that Vic and Gab has been mastered, has been mixed, that separation is a little harder to hear. Other headphones have picked it up. The Ollo simply doesn't pick it up as easily. Now, there is a point at which one of the two vocalists is slightly out of tune or has a slightly different tonality, and none of the other instruments are playing, and I think I heard something different on the left ear cup than on the right ear cup. And that's the only way I have been able to differentiate the two vocalists. it sounds good. It's a smooth sounding song on these headphones. It presents itself unmuddied, uncolored, but that detail is missing. That separation is missing for me on this song. Not a great result for this song. Let's go to Superposition by Young the Giant. Starts off immediately with the drum, then the banjo and the guitar. Clear differentiation, just like we talked about yesterday. Let's skip ahead about halfway. Very smooth tonality. No sibilants. Multiple vocalists, I can hear them clearly. So around 2 minutes, he goes, I want you to want me. And I can hear, oops, I'm sorry about that. I just bumped the microphone. I can hear at least one, maybe two other vocalists chiming in at the same time, because the way that the primary vocalist sounds versus how he sounds with the other vocalist is different. You can hear the tonality difference. The other vocalists just add something extra to the song when they come in. There's not a whole lot of separation amongst their vocals. And these are, by the way, all male, as far as I can tell, on this song. But you can hear a tonal difference. You may not be able to hear the separation of the vocals, but you can hear a tonal difference. Let's keep going. Yeah, the way that it's mixed, it sounds pretty much the same. So the only way I can explain is, if this is the case, that when they were mixing the song, they took the vocalists and they timed them and they just blended it together perfectly on top of each other. In contrast with Want You Back, where they wanted that separation. They wanted to have that airiness, that differentiation amongst all three vocalists. On this one, it almost sounds as if, to me, at least that's what the impression I get, is that the separation is not so much an importance for them. In fact, they want everything to be together, if that's how it was mastered. So bottom line is that I don't hear the separation of the vocals. Have I heard it before on this song? I don't recall hearing it clearly on this song. So once again, I'm not impressed. I'm not disappointed. It just is the way it is. Now let's listen to one last one. Excuse me. One last one before we move on. Let's go to Natalie by Milk and Bone. Two female vocalists. Amazing, beautiful sound, voices. Here we go. Starts off with the low bass guitar. It's a very clean representation of that bass guitar. And there's this synth sort of thing that just rises up from the background. It gets louder and louder. And now there's this echo of the vocalist going, ooh, 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 ooh. Clear separation between the vocals and the other instruments playing. You can hear the bass guitar just strumming away in the background. It's like the bottom layer of detail. And now the vocals come in. So one of the vocalists is going ooh, ooh, ooh in the background, and the other vocalist is up front singing the song. Very clear difference in their tonality. The first vocalist who goes ooh, ooh, ooh is still saying that, and it's on the left ear cup. It almost sounds as if the vocals are floating upwards as they're singing. I I I think there's a sense of verticality to these headphones, and that may all be subjective. Very clean, precise representation of the vocal. The way that the primary vocalist sings the song is very precise, very articulate. She pronounces her letters with a hard D, D, and a hard T, ta. That comes out very cleanly. And here comes the drums back into the mix with all the instruments. Excellent, clean separation, no muddiness. Let's skip ahead and let's see if I can find a portion where they're both singing. Here we are. So right around 2 minutes and 50 seconds, both vocalists are back in. The bass guitar is playing bottom layer. You have the drum playing very naturally, smoothly. It's not interfering with anything. And let's see if I can hear the different tonalities of the two vocalists. So let's start around 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Here we go. Yes, they're definitely two vocalists. Not as easily found as in Want You Back, but you can hear the different tonalities. It's just a slight difference, but when you're paying attention for it, you can hear it. Of more importance, however, is that the drum is playing, and the drum is just so natural and beautiful sounding on these headphones. It's not impactful. There is a slight reverberation in the song, so not in the headphone itself. The ear cups aren't reverberating, but there's a slight reverberation as that frequency carries through into the song, into the mix, and it's not interfering with the vocals. It's a very nice, clean representation of the song. This song, I think, comes off really, really well on these headphones. Okay, there we are. That is my listening experience for the mids. Overall, clean, clear, undistorted. No melding of the frequencies, no muddiness, no weird scooping out of the mids. It just sounds very natural. This is flat. I have to say, this is the flattest sounding headphone I've ever listened to. And my fear was a flat sounding headphone is going to sound dull. These don't sound dull. They sound good. They just let the song be, which is, kind of the important thing, right? You don't want a song to add anything sometimes, and you don't want a headphone to add anything sometimes, and you don't want a headphone definitely to take something away. If there's a song that's just really sibilant for you, then you may want a headphone that has a roll off early on in the treble region. But other than those kind of issues, you don't want a headphone to interfere, to take away the mids. You don't want a headphone to take away the bass. You don't want a headphone to accentuate something so much that it destroys your listening experience. Well, I can say that at least with the listening experience for the mids today and the bass yesterday, I'm not getting any distortion, and I am certainly not getting any sort of weird artifacts in the song representation. The separation, that was a kind of a mixed bag. A clear separation in Want You Back, but that's always been consistent with almost every headphone. Now, there have been a couple of headphones where it's not as good as another, but always found the separation, I think. Same thing here. It was not so easy to find the separation in Vic and Gab, and once again, not so easy to find the separation in Superposition. And how do I explain that? Well, because it's been so consistent, I would say that it's probably in the mixing process where it's just a little harder to find. Now, there have been other headphones where I can find the separation easier than I have been able to find on the Ollo. That being said, because a lot of that also depends on the way that it was recorded and the file format, it's possible that a much, much higher resolution file format would be able to help me eke out the separation. Now, I do hear different tonalities in those other songs. I just can't find the big difference in backup vocalist as I could on Want You Back. And there's multiple factors in here: the way that it was recorded, the way that the file was compressed, the amp, the DAC, all that sort of stuff may come into play. But everything being equal as it was here, I would say that the separation is not necessarily present in every song. However, there's also no muddiness. And if there is clear separation, it's mixed into the song, these headphones will show it. That would be my bottom line. The vocalists come out clean, natural, undistorted. Very, very nice experience. I would say that these headphones do a great job reproducing natural, uncolored mids. Next time, we are going to listen to the treble, and we'll find out if these headphones get really trebly and really peaky, and whether that starts to distort the sound in any capacity, especially at the higher volumes. And then after that, we will do a summary, and then after that, we are going to talk about the differences, the similarities between the Ollo and the NDH, and then the Ollo versus the HP50. I hope all of you have a wonderful Friday. It's 5:30. Hope you all get a wonderful weekend rest and are ready to start your week next week. I will talk to you soon.